Hi guys, welcome back to Daily Drives. A while ago we got a message from one of our viewers and said, could you review cars that are a little bit more affordable to the Bahraini folk, let's say the average. So we got a Maserati. The difference is Bavaria Motors actually kindly gave us this car. It is used and it is a 2015, but our question actually reversed and said, well, what do you get for that amount of money, which is around 16,000 dinars, and for a car of that year? And we're gonna go and find out. And the Maserati that Bavaria Motors has kindly given us is the Ghibli. Now, I know the name is comedic, but it is still a thorough Maserati. From every angle, this is actually very good looking. We both took it out today and we both really like how it looked. Compared to other cars of this year and in this range, this definitely is the most good looking of all of them. But there are a few things that we need to consider, it being a Maserati of course, and that's mostly to do with what's in the inside of the car. Let's take a look. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the interior. What I am saying, however, is you are missing and coming across certain features that you find in the Chrysler range, in the Fiat range, and I know they're owned by the same company. However, you're buying a Maserati, so for that amount of money, is that what you really expect? Where I am getting with this though is you get this lovely wooden finish, you get nice quality leather, you get nice interior finishes in general, and the iconic blue Maserati dials. And then you get disappointed with the headlight and the start-stop switch that come out of a 40BD rental car, which is a little disappointing.
So just before we head off, I'd just like to show you the infotainment system, which is very nice. I personally really love this system. It's a Uconnect system that you might be familiar from other FCA products, and it's very easy to use. And comparing to the Mercedes we did last week, where you have just a quick set of buttons on the bottom where you can go through different various controls. Climate is just one click away. Navigation as well. You have your phone settings, all of that very easy to use, as well as when you want to set this thing up, you can actually create shortcuts and move them down to this list depending on what you use the most time. The only kind of thing that we've been talking about, it would be nice if they made it a little bit more nicer, because you can still say it's a Uconnect system. So if your friend has a basic V6 charger, they can say that, yeah, we have the exact same system as your Maserati. So you don't feel as premium as this car should, bearing that Maserati name. Obviously, this being a little bit of an older car, cameras have come a long way since then, and as you can see here, we have the backup camera. It's kind of angled a bit down, and this is unfortunate when you're backing up a hill, because you can't really see what's farther than this point here, as well as the mirrors also fold down as well, so you're completely blind if you're on a hill. Not very convenient. Buying a car is one thing, but maintaining it with costs is another, where a big hunk V8 will actually take more gas or fuel than you quite possibly would ever use in a Toyota. But this car has a V6. It's a twin turbo V6, 3 liters with 350 horsepower. Now that's practical and fun. And Maserati, being known for the gods of exhaust sounds, have also made this thing sound great. So it pops and bangs and does all the cool things when you're in sport mode, but in normal mode, you'll be just driving a very posh executive saloon. The front is very comfortable, of course, that is the main part of any car, but the back seats, not so much. It's quite difficult to fit in a normal sized human being in the back. Kids definitely will fit, but if you have a big family, you might need to think about getting something a little bit bigger. However, you still get the same kind of treatment with the leather in the back seats and the comfort, but just not as much space. Where you do have space, however, is the boot. As you can see, it's quite deep, so you can put a lot of shopping, your groceries, your day-to-day things inside very easily. It isn't an SUV, so unfortunately you get a very small space in here, so you have to keep that in mind when carrying heavier things. But for a day-to-day basis and daily driving, it's more than enough. So for some reason, I've always been under the impression that this thing would drive like a wet dog. Fortunately, it doesn't. The thing where the price gets involved with a car like this is not the equipment you get in. Remember, this is a 2015 vehicle. Nowadays, you can get a very basic Toyota with everything in it. but that's equipment. That's not about how it drives. And this thing, this is all about how it drives. I'm so surprised how this thing accelerates and moves and like holds the corners, and it's so comfortable as well. It's like pretty much exactly what you would like to take on a long journey. And the sound it makes never gets boring. Have a listen. I mean, don't get me wrong, this car is quick by any standards. 0 to 60, 4.7 seconds. That is fast. V6, remember, twin turbo. The twin turbos are quite confusing to me because up till 3,000 revs, they kind of don't switch on, which was the whole point of having two turbos, a smaller one and a bigger one, so they work in different rev ranges. I don't kind of get that. So off the line, it is a bit slow. It's kind of okay, now we're going. But other than that, there's nothing wrong with how it drives. It feels very stable on the road. Driving 120, which is the legal limit here, is like you're doing 80. It's very comfortable. You don't feel like you're going to horribly crash like you would assume some Italian cars would. We're living in an era where manufacturers who build cars like the MC12, like the famous Formula 1 cars that used to win every Grand Prix, are now building four-door saloon cars. And I think that's a good thing, because at least we can have four-door saloon cars that drive like this. One thing to mention, this car has a bit of road noise. Definitely down to what kind of tires you use, but the soundproofing isn't as good as your luxury saloon car from Germany. And I definitely prefer to drive an Italian than ride in a German. Also, when you drive this car, it's a definitely rarer thing to see on the road. And people will say, oh, look, it's a Maserati, it's a Maserati. Or I drive a Maserati. That sounds a lot better than saying I drive a BMW or a Mercedes, which this car is kind of competing against, because this is the cheapest car in the Maserati range, the entry level. And it's competing with the BMW 3 and 5 series. So this is kind of an option you have to think about. And you have to kind of also compare the two. It lacks the sophistication of the Germans, but it has the heart of the Italians that the Germans kind of are starting to miss. Everything is going too much into tech instead of how it feels to drive. And if you're that kind of person who's looking for a car that is fun to drive, that you'd like to drive to work or to take your kids to school or wherever, this could be something you should definitely consider. And before judging it by how it looks inside and out, take it for a drive and you'll be pleasantly surprised, just like I am. It's fantastic. Listen to it. You don't expect it for some reason. It's a Ghibli, right? It's just an entry-level car. But it does give you that emotion. I'm smiling, I'm happy driving this. I don't want to stop driving this thing. Unfortunately, we have to soon.
Not to end it on a bad note, I mean, we do have to give this car back, as Osama just mentioned. But I do feel the next person that's going to own this particular car is actually not going to be very disappointed, because we both loved it. Drives really well, looks really good. Yes, it's got the Maserati etiquette of it being possibly a little bit troublesome, but what we felt so far today hasn't done a single thing wrong, and we've enjoyed it every single step of the way. So thanks once again to Bavaria Motors, and we'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.